I've been working all night, baby. Sorry I never called back.
Hey man, we back. We back with another video. How you doing? It's a Who Dat and how you doing to everybody in the Who Dat Nation and other people who come from different teams just to, get some sports news. How are you doing? I'm your host Simba and this is the Saint Central. So now it's time to get into it a little bit. What are we going to be talking about today? What's important? What topics have been ringing around the NFL and the sports world in general for a little while now? One thing that I think I should address is that I will not be mentioning Drew Brees and the Black Lives Matter movement incidents that happened with his comments on the issue. I'm just going to say personally that I do support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I do support players and people with voices taking a huge stand against this injustice and the system being so corrupt. And I do 100% appreciate every single person who was out there protesting peacefully, doing everything they needed to do, being safe, and remembering that we were still in the pandemic and that we still need to help each other out by helping ourselves. And now, let's try to divert a little bit away from any serious topic, and let's talk a little bit about some good news. One of our prized running backs of the Saints franchise history, Reggie Bush, you guys might know him, 2009 Super Bowl, Anyways, Reggie Bush got accepted back into the USC alumni group. And that's huge because for so long Reggie Bush has been sidelined and put on the side because of his Heisman scandal and accepting money before he was in the NFL. I do understand that that is a very bad thing to do. Systematically, if there's a way to do things in place, you wouldn't want to jeopardize it by sticking your neck out and really putting yourself at risk to be in the position that he was in. He got his Heisman taken away. He was disassociated from the university. It was just a lot of bad news coming from Reggie Bush. And the only upside was the fact that he was a player and he wasn't going to be considered a bust. That after all this stuff happened, that his talent showed. And I think that's really resilient of him to have come back from all of this negativity and really come out and say, hey, I understand that these are the consequences to what I'm doing, to what I was doing at the time. I don't like the circumstances, but I do understand why it's necessary for us to look at this and try to nip it in the bud before it ends up happening with another school, with another player. Because face it, players, as far as I'm concerned, players still are not allowed to benefit off of their likeness. I think the NCAA PA announced a different ruling where they can benefit off of their likeness but not use school association. But this is when Reggie Bush was in college. Of course, it's a whole different era of football at that time, a whole different era of players, the ways of doing business. It's not regular. It wasn't going to be regular. So, Reggie Bush, congratulations. Welcome back. I hope they give you back your Heisman. You deserve it. You're the best. You're the GOAT. You're the greatest of all time. And I appreciate you, man. I really do appreciate you. Welcome back to the USC locker room. Welcome back to the alumni. I hope you help the students. I hope you do your duty as an alumni to really pass on the torch to any other kid who's going to be in the league and be a really good example, because you have been a good example thus far. Now, Who Dat Nation, we're going to go into a little bit of a salary cap talk. How much do we really have? Like how many people we've acquired, what we've acquired, what we have left to pay off, just a little bit into our salary cap situation so that we ourselves can get a better understanding about the position we're in and whether we can go out and get more help or go out and pick up somebody who could be a good piece to the New Orleans Saints, whether it be the offense, defense, or special teams. So the realistic number that we have rounded is 8,200,000. $33 in funds. That's what we have. So we have 8 million in funds. This is what we can use to acquire other players or go ahead and extend certain players. That's a little different because we have not accounted for Ty Montgomery's projected deal yet. And we still have to pay people like Cesar Ruiz. By the way, big shout out to Cesar Ruiz, because Cesar Ruiz, his birthday is today, and I want him to feel loved by the people in the Who Dat Nation and embraced by the people in the Who Dat Nation. So go ahead and go to Instagram, go to Twitter, and tweet at Cesar Ruiz telling him happy birthday. You know, today's his birthday. He deserves a little bit of love before we get to the season and see what he can actually do. Ty Montgomery, again, I don't know how we picked up Ty Montgomery this late, you know, into, this early in the season, late from the last season. I don't know how he was still available. Very good running back, very good pass catcher. I think he has a fumbling problem, but I don't see him getting anything more than $2 million or anything around that ballpark. I don't think he will get $2 million. I don't even think he will get $1 million. Maybe in the middle between $2 million and $1 million would be the sweet spot for both the team and the player. We also got James Hurts, which was really good investment into our future. Okay, you know, we're getting the O-line up a little bit, you know. Anthony Chiquillo, the man is a stud, and we did get him, and he's supposed to be a very good piece for depth on our team, and not specifically for a starting role or any major switching role off the field. It's going to be more so if somebody gets injured or if we're using him for special teams or anything as a gunner. You know, it wouldn't be any starting role, of course, because we have way more depth on our team other than Demario Davis, and it's just it's a good team structure the way that it is now. But look, honestly, we could have the best caps and with the most cap space in the league, but if we don't have that front office that reflects what we're about and what our traditions are and how we run our organization, then all that money might as well be worthless. Right now we have $8 million to spend on some quality players or to extend players a little bit, when other teams like the Rams don't have money to even pay their past players or not on contract anymore players. And by that I'm meaning Clay Matthews. And yes, I'm gonna go into it a little bit sooner about Clay Matthews. I feel like he would be a really good addition to the team, but you know, right now we're talking about cap space. So Jared Cook is making $9 million. Teron Armstead's making $8.3 million. Michael Thomas is making $7 million. Malcolm Brown is making $6 million, and then Sheldon Rankins is making $7.69 million. So we have a couple people still taking. I mean, we don't have one person really taking the lion's share of this the cap space. It's mostly broken up between positions, the best in the positions. You know, they don't typically have the most money at their position, but they are quality at their position. Marshawn Lattimore, super underpaid, one of the best at his position. Janoris Jenkins, super underpaid, one of the best at his position. And Cam Jordan, I wouldn't say underpaid per se, but best at his position. And this is just what we have inside of the building. Now, talking a little bit more about Clay Matthews, I think Clay Matthews would be an amazing addition to the linebacker core and New Orleans. I don't think people understand that right now, as of now, we have $8.2 million in cap space, probably around $7 million to $6.8 million after the Ty Montgomery deal. We could easily go out and get Clay Matthews right now and maybe even offer him a 2-year contract for a low. The last season, he had complications with the Rams getting $2 million. He had to tweet at the Rams Twitter account asking why he hasn't been paid and hired a lawyer to go ahead and take legal action against the Rams organization. Over $2 million. So if we offer him $4 million or something along the lines of 3 million, 4 million a year, or 3 million a year, 2 million a year, but for 2 years. I think he would be a perfect addition to the Saints linebacker core because everybody in that defense gets better once everyone's on the same page. And I feel like Clay Matthews is an example of somebody who can get on the same page somewhere that he's comfortable. As soon as he feels the love, as soon as he gets the exposure in New Orleans, I doubt that he's going to go back to the Clay Matthews in the Rams, and I think he's going to go back to the Clay Matthews in the Packers. Because the Clay Matthews I saw in the Packers was undoubtedly one of the best linebackers that I've ever seen play the sport. So aggressive, so accurate, so he imposes his will. And we could really do way worse than Clay Matthews at this point in free agency. According to Pro Football Focus, Clay Matthews had a Pro Football Focus score of 54.2, and AJ Klein last year had a Pro Football Focus score of 48.4. So at this point in the career, I think Clay Matthews can be better than AJ Klein was as a conservative member of that linebacker core where they need you at a certain point in the game. I don't know whether it's going to be goal line situations or maybe third and sixes. I would be also lying if I said that name recognition wasn't one of the reasons why I thought that Clay Matthews would be a perfect fit for the Who Dat Nation. I think that all of it together, the whole circumstance of everything together is perfect. I think this is the perfect move to tell the Who Dat Nation, like, we're going in. We're going all in. We're going straight to everybody's head. And we're going to try to win this championship this year. Because Drew Brees, you know, on the field, Drew Brees, like, very much so deserves another championship. I just think that it would be nice for his last year. Like, I really feel like this year will be his last year for them to win the Super Bowl. Maybe even Super Bowl MVP being Drew Brees or Michael Thomas. Like, I can really genuinely see that. But that would take a lot of effort from the Saints side. Like, don't get me wrong. I 100% believe we can win the Super Bowl as is. We have a team right now that's unbelievable. We are 3 deep in almost every single category in the NFL. Every single position in the NFL. Like, I don't understand how we have Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, and Ty Montgomery. Like, how did people let that happen? Like, I just don't understand that. The only position I don't see as being 3 deep in is probably the receiver position, and that's because I feel like receivers that are already in-house, the rookie receivers from other years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, Manuel Butler, you know, he could step up. You know, Keith Kirkwood really could step up. You need to step up. I'm telling you right now, you need to step up. Who's another one? Traquan Smith, you need to step up. You need to step up, dog. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You need to step up. Like, that's not acceptable. It is not acceptable. Emmanuel Butler, I see you out there working, and you're out there doing a really good job at staying conditioned and doing what you got to do and being very positive. But I want to see that on the field. I want to see Deontay Harris on the field. I don't want to talk about how good these players are anymore. I want to see them on the field. I'm sick and tired of talking about how this person's a good punt returner and how this person's fast, but they're not playing in the game, or they're not being utilized in the game, or they're not making what they could out of their time in the game. I see nothing but silence from Traquan Smith. As far as I'm concerned, I see nothing but silence from Keith Kirkwood too. Yeah, you can make a couple good grabs in your career, but that doesn't mean that that's what you're going to be remembered by. That's not. You got to really want it. You got to really be in it. Because if you're going to be as soft as you guys have been playing, especially up at the line, then I don't know how long you think you're gonna stay. I don't know how long that you think that they're gonna extend you if you're being as consistent as you are, because you're not an asset to the team. If anything, you're hurting them by being so consistent, you know? And I feel like that's not fair. I feel like you guys should really do your part. Now that Emmanuel Sanders is here, now that we still have Michael Thomas, 2 of probably the best receiver duo in the league. You know what I'm saying? So there's no excuse why you shouldn't get open. And you need to get open. Or we need to find other receivers. And this needs to happen all the time. The Saints need to stop cutting the shit. This Austin Carr, the Austin Carr re-signing. I don't understand why. Like, I get the potential. But what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? You know what I'm saying? Like, what have you done? And I feel like that's not fair. I feel like it's not fair for these receivers to be putting the same half-assed work every single time. Expect Michael Thomas to break every record. Just sit back there and watch Drew Brees throw it to Michael Thomas with intentions of breaking the record, knowing that this record indirectly means that other receivers aren't doing their job. Now, what does that say? We're one receiver deep? Before Emmanuel Sanders, we were one receiver deep? I don't see that. I don't see that. I thought Traquan Smith was going to be good, but I'm sorry. It was my fault. I thought Key Kirk was going to be good, but it's my fault. Jared Cook, it's not about you. You balling. You're balling, bro. You balling. That's you. That's on you. That's on your side. I'm talking about your receivers. I'm talking about these guys who think that they could show up and not do a damn thing on this field and think that they can go to this locker room and party, man. That is unacceptable to me. But I digress, guys. You know, you can't make these guys something that they're not. You know, you have to have it. You have to want it. You have to be able to work for it. And I don't think that they've taken the leaps necessary to contribute to the team very well. And with that being said, I'm going to transition to a different sport because I want there to be a little bit of diversity on, you know, the Saints Central podcast, and I want you guys to really understand my thoughts on different sports and what my mind is and what players I like, what teams I like, what fighters I like, you know, just so that you can start formulating your opinion about me. I know you guys don't really know about me like that, and I appreciate every single person watching this. Like, I really do. I do appreciate it. So we're gonna talk about boxing. A little bit earlier in this week, we have got breaking news that Tyson Fury will be facing Anthony Joshua 2021. There's a 2-fight deal in the works right now with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, and these are two of the best British boxers to ever even put on some gloves. Like Anthony Joshua with his power, his physique, and his methods, you know, his technique. You can see that he's very well taught, but his downfall is that in his head, he just can't get out of himself. You know, I think one of his biggest reasons that he lost to Andy Ruiz in the first place was he got too into himself. He got too mentally prepared for what could come and not what is in front of him. And I think when you're facing Tyson Fury, that's a big problem that you have. That's a big problem that you can have, because as soon as you're comfortable thinking a certain thing about Tyson Fury, he's gonna change it. His technique, his skill, the way that, you know, he can go from a power puncher to a straight boxer to a fighter, you know, to an athlete. He's diverse in that way. So if you underestimate your opponent, it's going to end very bad for you. We just saw what Tyson Fury did to Deontay Wilder. He made Deontay Wilder look like a rag doll for the whole match. Like, granted, there was a little bit of controversy. Deontay Wilder saying that he had his ring attire was too heavy and that it was weighing on his legs. I understand that. I get that. I understand that could be a possibility. But you pay people for things like that not to happen. And I feel like you should have taken more accountability for what happened, because you could have been the person to stop it. Regardless, you're the person who has to be happy with everything that is organized around them. And for you to not see that was a problem beforehand, I can't give you that excuse after the fight. Tyson Fury put on a virtuoso against Deontay Wilder. He really showed why he is not just a boxer, but he is an all-around fighter. And how his technique, combining with his power, was what carried him, and that he didn't have to rely on a lucky shot to really take down his opponent mentally and physically. and he was having fun for the Wilder match. Fury was having all the fun in the world. He didn't need to take it serious. Everybody knows that he didn't need to take it seriously. He already beat him in the first like match. If you watch the first match and you actually think that Deontay Wilder won that match, then we have a conversation that is never gonna end. Because I have endless reasons in my heart why Tyson Fury should have won the fight earlier. I understand I understand the knockdown at the end of the 12th round, almost at the end of the 12th round, was such a big deal, but it wasn't the fight, and the fight was different. Yeah, any big boy, any bigger guy is gonna be a little bit more winded, towards the end of a fight. But Fury doesn't let that become an excuse for him not to win the fight in the later rounds as well. He gets his points in the beginning, but he starts boxing towards the middle rounds. This guy is incredible. It's beautiful to watch him. Just like his jabs are even... I can't even explain why Tyson Fury is such an excellent boxer. But when you look at him and you see his back leg supporting all of his weight, and you see Deontay Wilder with his hands all the way to his waist, and his legs so close together, as if he's given up on his technique, he's given up on his stance, even the basics of what boxing is, wasn't even throwing punches anymore. How are you going to expect me to enjoy that over somebody who was having the time of his life, doing what we all wanted him to do, and we all knew what he would do? But I digress. I'm talking a little bit more about Wilder and Fury than Fury and Joshua. I believe I'm gonna make another video about just the boxing aspect of Fury and Joshua, but that's gonna be closer to the fights. It's gonna be maybe in the middle of 2020, towards the end of 2020, beginning 2021. I'm not sure when it's the Tyson Fury fight and Deontay Wilder third fight is going to happen. But in the interview where he announced the new Joshua fight, he insinuated that he had to go and face Wilder one more time. So I'm guessing that's going to happen at the end of 2020.